Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
Hi, this is Jack O'Brien, and I could tell you stories. You know, some people are just born troublemakers. Usually in the process of becoming a senior citizen, you learn your lesson. But once in a while, there's a troublemaker who should know better, but is also too old to even give a hoot. And that's a bad combination. Take Sam Bailey. He gets named to the Board of Deacons of Church of the Lakes out near Weirsdale, and they assign him to taking care of the landscaping. Well, after a month of frustration with mowing and edging and weeding, he decides to fix a fence around the property and buy 3 goats. And he names them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the funny thing is, they did a great job. The church lawn never looked so good. Everyone was pretty happy until the goats found the Sunday bulletins sitting on the wall outside Pastor Caldwell's office. Allied Printing dropped them off every Friday before Pastor Caldwell shows up, but this week the goats jumped up on top of the wall and ate a bunch of the bulletins, scattered the rest around, and made a big mess. So the pastor had to spend his whole day copying and collating and stapling new bulletins for Sunday service. Bailey was told to get rid of the goats, which he did. He replaced them with 2 sheep. He named Ham and Lamech. He built them a little straw-filled cubby in the old tool shed. They did even better than the goats. They didn't eat anything they shouldn't. But the next week there was a potluck, and they couldn't get a lot of takers for the pulled pork because someone started a rumor that it could be the missing goats. So Sam was on the outs, and that was just one more reason he shouldn't have been trying to tease his wife Blossom at church. Blossom, when she gets to laughing, she gets pretty loud and she can't stop. Sam likes to provoke her because it's so much fun. Anyway, they were sitting in their regular pew with the Everleys between them when Sam handed Rollins Everly a peeled hard-boiled egg and asked him to pass it down to Blossom at the other end. Well, there were a few snickers, and Blossom was tickled by the joke, and she started kind of chuckling. When Rollins handed her a salt shaker, and she found herself sitting there in church with an egg in one hand and a salt shaker in the other, she couldn't contain herself, and she started laughing, and then the congregation starts laughing, and the preacher's wondering, what on earth is going on? Anyway, things calmed down, people greeted each other, and the collection plate was passed, and everyone stood to sing the doxology, and as they were sitting down, Sam Bailey made a noise. If you cough or you sneeze or you blow your nose or even laugh in church, no one much remembers. But this was a noise that wasn't going to be forgotten nor forgiven, especially when young Trey Ashley, sitting behind the Baileys, waited for complete silence before he said, "Daddy, Mr. Sam stepped on a duck." Well, it was a cute little insight into the raising of the Ashley children, and it should have ended there. But Sam says, "It wasn't me." Of course, that prompted the Everleys to pick up their things and move. Well, Blossom, being a proper lady, gave Sam a look and did the same thing, only she had the car keys and she drove back home. The next morning, as Pastor Caldwell pulled into the church driveway, he noticed a man walking away down the road in front of the church. The old guy had straw stuck to the back of his shirt and all up in his hair, like he'd been sleeping on the ground. Pastor thought it sort of looked like Sam Bailey from the back, but he couldn't be sure. He was going to ask, but he hasn't seen Sam for a while. This is Jack O'Brien. Thanks for listening.
Like what you've just heard? I Could Tell You Stories with Jack O'Brien is brought to you by Brick City Digital. Hi, I'm Michael Warren, and at Brick City Digital Marketing, we believe every business has a great story to tell. Our job is to help your business tell your story in a way that brings more customers to your door. We help small businesses just like yours with web design, social media, SEO, video, and more. Visit us online at brickcity.com or call 352-351-1131 for a free consultation.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Monday. I'm your host, Tom Schmitz. Hour number 2. Hey, coming up at 9:30, Chief of Police Mike Balkin from the Ocala Police Department. He'll be here to have a conversation with us still to come today. Chief Mike Balkin at 9:30. 10 o'clock, we'll have folks in to talk about a golf tournament that is going to benefit Hospice of Marion County. I'm on the committee. We will have John and Gary in talking about the Hospice tournament that's coming up November 5th. That's at 10 o'clock. I'm taking your call. 622-9622 is the number to call if you want to be part of the program. It's still election season. Still 2 runoffs, Jay Musley and Ty Schlichter for District 3, Kristen Dreyer and Lori Martin Gregory for District 4. Truth be told, Lori Martin Gregory used to do the American Mom show here on this radio airwaves. Lori and I, truth be told, Lori and I have done radio numerous times together off and on since 2013. She is the daughter of Buddy Martin, who I did radio with on this radio station for 6 solid years. I do know the Martin family rather well. I don't have a dog in this fight, though. I just want you to vote. Whether you vote for Kristen Dreyer, Lori Martin Gregory, Ty Schlichter, or Jay Musley, I want you to vote. It is very important that you exercise your civic duty. And that's right, I didn't say civic privilege. I didn't say civic maybe. I said your civic duty. As a member of this community, if you are registered to vote, it is your civic duty to do so. If you're not registered to vote, you should have been and then did your civic duty to vote. Voting is not a right. Voting is not a privilege. Voting is a duty. Just as serving on jury is a duty, voting is a duty. It is how a democracy works. It is how a democratic republic works. And without you doing your duty, it doesn't work. Good morning. You're on Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Sonny.
Hello?
Morning, Sonny. How are you?
All right, hanging in there. Talking about the voting, isn't there something for our county voters to vote for this year, even though it's the odd year? That's number one. Number two is there's a lot of talk on commercials, TV, about not voting for the amendment to allow the gambling in Florida. I'm just wondering if you heard anything on that. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Thanks, Sonny. The county commission, nobody's up for voting for re-election in the county commission. Those happen the same year as the national elections, just in the off years. As far as the gambling goes, there is a pact agreement amongst the Seminole Indian Nation tribe and the state of Florida that's already been sent to the Department of Interior for approval by the federal government. Now, there are some wranglings of people that want to put on the ballot that gambling should be something that is legal in Florida, not just for the Seminole Indians. There is people out trying to get that put on the ballot, that they want to, make sports betting and gambling and casino gambling something that's not just with the Seminole Indians. I don't ever think that's going to get off the ground. People are going to try, but as long as you have 2 entities with the money that they have, i.e. Disney and Las Vegas, with their powerful lobbyist groups, I think the gambling you're going to see in this state for the time to come, at least for the next 10, 12 years, is the Seminole Indian casinos and a few slot machines down in the Miami Broward County area, because that was passed the last time with the pact that went through. But you're going to see sports betting. It's going to face some hurdles in court, but you're going to see sports betting run by the Seminole Indians. You're going to see live craps and live roulette, because that's what they're adding this time with the with the new pact. Before, everything was live except for roulette and craps. They were still run by machines, and that's new this time. There's going to be live table gaming of roulette and craps, and then there'll be sports betting. And sports betting's the big boon here. Sports betting, there are people who casino gamble, and then there are people who sports bet. there are a lot more people who don't consider themselves gamblers, who won't go to a casino. They won't play a slot machine. They won't play blackjack. They won't play baccarat. They won't play poker. They do not play roulette or craps because they don't gamble. We're not gamblers. We don't go to casinos and gamble. But you put a 2-point spread on the Florida-Miami game, and they'll take that. But to them, that's betting on sports. It's not gambling. Well, yes, it is. But there are people who will say, I don't go to casinos and gamble. I'm not a gambler like that. But they'll put $200 on a football game. That's where you're going to see a big influx of money into the casino gambling, is through the people who don't casino gamble. No, I would never do that. And by the way, I had this discussion with a person. I won't say who the person was, but they're a person who has a prominent place in a Christian church here in town, who literally, we had this discussion 3 weekends ago. I said, so you once sports betting comes, if you got to go to the casino, well, they'll have it separate from the casino. And, I don't go play those games in the casino because those are the kind of games that got thrown out of the temple. Jesus threw out of the temple. Well, actually, it was money changers and all who he threw out of the temple, but okay. And then he said, so I don't necessarily, that kind of gambling's evil. But what's wrong with a little sports betting just to make it a little better to watch on TV? And that's going to be the mentality of a lot of people who think casino gambling is the kind of gambling that leads to gambling addiction, but sports betting's okay. I will tell you this. There's a whole lot of people lost their fortunes, their businesses and everything from getting behind on sports betting. I promise you that. Good morning. You're on Ocala Talks.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is Hugh speaking.
I know, Hugh. Go ahead.
Okay, see, I just wanted to say I was down at the art festival this weekend. I went both days.
Fantastic.
And it was very nice, very well attended. Especially, Saturday was really a mob scene down there, and I was glad to see there was a stand down there where you get yourself a cup of beer or a wine and walk around with it. So evidently, it's okay to do that now in the downtown area.
Well, the jury's still out on that. It seems that some people thought that you couldn't do it. Some people thought you could do it, but nobody was enforcing that you couldn't do it. So could you do it? Could you not do it? I'm actually going to ask Chief Balkin that. He'll be in studio today. I'm going to ask him about that situation and get a little clarity on where we are with the ordinance and what's legal and what's not legal.
Very good. I'll be looking forward to see what he has to say about that.
But all in all, Hugh, it was a great time downtown. The crowds, while it was crowded, it was spread out enough where you still didn't feel like you were trapped in the crowd. Like, no offense to Light Up Ocala, but because it's so geared towards the downtown square, you feel like a sardine, and sardines in a can for Light Up Ocala. FAFO didn't feel that way. There was plenty of areas to walk around, so it didn't feel like you were shoulder to shoulder crowded, even though there was a good crowd downtown.
Very, very good. And parking was a little bit of a challenge. I had to park several blocks away because the lots were full on Saturday. But it's no big deal. A nice little walk going in there and walking around. And it was a perfect weather weekend for the event.
Yeah, we parked over by 8th Street Elementary and had a little hike. And me with this bum knee and bum leg right now in a cane, it was a little challenging. But I gutted it out for my wife and her friend. She had a friend come in town, and it was a good. If you have a friend that comes into town, who drops into town, to have something like FAFO to be able to take them to, that's just a checkpoint for our community to say how great our community is. We had a guest she lives over in New Smyrna. She decided to take a day trip, and if she could run into us, that was fine. If not, she'd just go shop at our Walmart, give Marion County some of her money. But lo and behold, we were out and about. She was out and about, and we were able to take her and show her FAFO. And she was like, wow, this is amazing. This town has this kind of thing and everything. It's just one of those times where you get to brag about Ocala.
Yeah, the square is really looking great. That hotel is wonderful. Of course, the parking structure, and it's just a nice looking downtown area. And then having a show like that art show in there, it's a beautiful thing.
Here's the question, Hugh. How much art did you buy? Come on, I know you bought a bunch.
Actually, I usually do, but this year I didn't. I almost bought something, and I thought, I better not. But I tell you, you could really spend a lot of money down there if you wanted to, because there's a lot of great stuff.
Did you check out the best art there, though? And I'm going to tell you where it was. It was on the north side of the Citizen Circle, and it was the Marion County Public School Students Art Show, where they had awarded ribbons and all for best art from students from the first grade up to the 12th grade. To walk into that little exhibit, and it was a little exhibit, there was over 300 pieces of art. That was one of the highlights of the weekend downtown.
You're exactly right. I think I spent a good half an hour looking at all that art on both days. I went back on Sunday. I had to see it again because the kids are really doing great.
Yeah, it's great that they encompass the kids into that with the art show and the awards and the ribbons that they give out and everything. FAFO does, they do Mother's Day with Symphony Under the Stars, great, and then they do the art, the weekend of art, really great. FAFO, just a really great organization for us to have here in Ocala.
Well, it sure is, and I'm looking forward to the next one, and of course the Strawberry Festival and light up. And the parade, so we're getting pretty much back to normal, so things are doing pretty good.
Hey, Hugh, what do you think of this idea? Let's start, say, in March sometime. Have the Hugh and Tom are ready for the warm weather beer drinking festival and have that downtown.
Oh, boy, that reminds me of Milwaukee. They have those all year round.
Call it the Hugh and Tom beer drinking festival. I think we get a lot of people.
Oh, that sounds great. Let's hope the sheriff, or the police officer you're going to have on, can give you an idea about that. And it sounds like it would be a wonderful event, and I would imagine it'll be well attended.
And if we name it the Hugh and Tom event, aren't they obligated then to give us our beverages free?
Well, that sounds like a good idea.
I think so. Hey, Hugh, thanks for the call, buddy, and thanks for enjoying FAFO this weekend.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good day, Tom.
Yeah, FAFO was a good time downtown this weekend. It really was. It just felt more spread out this year than it had in previous years. 158 vendors selling art. Citizen Circle was well attended. If you didn't get a chance to go see the little dance teams of little 6 and 7, 8-year-old girls and guys that could dance, and they've been dance class and all. They were really just so cute. And then you had the art tents where you had the art with the kids being judged, and they were high school kids being judged and elementary kids, middle school kids. I actually even saw one piece of art that I thought was Joe Martone, but it ended up being a girl's grandfather. But it looked a lot like Joe Martone. Although Joe Martone, I found out last night, I'm watching The Simpsons, and Bart's granddad comes on, and I go, there's Joe Martone. So maybe Joe maybe Matt Groening needs to pay Joe some sort of money for using his likeness in his TV show. I think there may be something to that. Hey, Mike Balkin, just around the corner. He's coming in about 5 minutes. Joe Martone just walks in the studio, acts like he owns the place. I mean, you act like that you own the place.
Good morning, Thomas.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good morning, listeners.
Thank
you for putting up with Tom.
Did you go to FAFO this week?
Not this year. I didn't go. I've been in the past.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Crowded, though. Had to park over by 8th Street Elementary.
I seen pictures. I've listened to you on the way in. How far you wobbled all the way in.
I did wobble all the way in.
But then you walked around and wobbled some more.
Yeah, this year it stretched from literally 3rd Street up to the square, but not on the square.
Ah.
Because of the hotel and everything, it was hard to get the whole square blocked up. But then they ran it all the way down Broadway, 2 blocks to the west on Broadway. Uh-huh. They ran it all the way to the parking garage.
Now, I heard something about the parking garage, which kind of went, huh? Parking was only for vendors and handicap and the hotel.
Yeah, they made it a vendor-only parking garage because they had 158 vendors. They did. They made it for vendors only. So vendors would have because if you didn't make it for vendors only, there would have been no way they could have got in and out. None. Because people would have taken it up so quick. And then you got vendors that would have to go 4 or 5 blocks lugging their tents and their artwork. And,
Yeah, I hear you.
You had to have a place to, and there were some trailers in there and everything. It was, but you were told ahead of time that it was
I
gonna
didn't
be
think it
shut
was
down.
there it is.
And I mean, coming from 8th Street up to where it was, because it started with, we walked through the farmer's market, the downtown market.
Sure.
So even though FAFO didn't start at the market, we started at the market, which is a block and a half from 8th Street Elementary.
Right.
So where we parked. So it didn't feel like we had walked that far to get to the event.
To the start of the event
Right.
or the end of the event, whichever way you want to look at
Whichever way
it.
you want to look at it.
And Circle Square, they had things going on there. And
They had great dance troops. Circle Square is where they had the kids exhibits too, and that to me was the best part of the art show. Was there was 4 tents with over 300 pieces of art that were done from kindergarten through 12th graders, and they were all judged and everything.
And you could see the progression of
Right?
intelligence.
Yeah. And I even remarked, I go, "There's some pretty incredible kids in this county."
There are some. Yeah. Oh, some of them are like you said. They drew that.
But the fact that FAFO doesn't, the FAFO acknowledges them, doesn't leave them out. They acknowledge that there's artists in our community.
Pieces of art for sale also, I wonder?
They were not.
They were not. Okay.
They were not.
But the rest were for sale.
The rest were for sale. And look, I saw pieces that range everywhere from $12
to $1,200?
No.
Silly me.
I saw one piece of art that had a $10,800 price tag on it.
Well, buy that or the car. Let's see.
But if you have if you have a home that a $10,800 piece of art would fit in,
if you have the home in the capital,
you probably can afford that piece of artwork.
There are a few people, not a few, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford that.
In this county, a lot of people.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
That's where you heard it probably.
But
yeah.
WEC this weekend had a golden retriever show. I had some friends that went to that. It was agility and jumping and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So it was for 7 hours. Said it was fascinating and fun.
Fabulous.
So there's Chief Police just walked in.
Oh, he was in the parking lot. He watched. He made sure.
He was running your tag to make sure it was legal.
That's why I parked away from him so he couldn't tell.
He walked around. He called it in.
The reason he didn't come in earlier, he didn't want you to pick on him.
Well, no, the reason he didn't come in earlier, he was out there saying there's an incorrigible that just pulled up, and we got to run his tag. And then it came back Joe Martone, and he goes, well, there's no help for him anyway.
I'm beyond help. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Speaking of help,
yes.
Don't forget the Veterans event. I got to keep
November
pushing.
19th.
November 19th. If you want tickets or you want to sponsor it, you can call 433-2320. Hit 0 as soon as they start, and the operator will come in, and they'll direct you to Jinky if she's there. Or call Jinky directly at 352-286-9491. Again, 286-9491. It's a heck of an event, and it's the only event that Vets Helping Vets put on to help veterans in the area. Oh, well, we help them from around the world if need be.
And it's a good event. There's going to be music, dining, dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Martone will be there. He'll tell a few jokes. It'll be a good time.
Sure. If I know him, I'll bring my notes with me.
He will openly make fun of Hank. It'll be a great time.
Oh, yes.
It'll be a great time.
I have to get back at him and,
Coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk about a hospice golf tournament I'm on the committee of. And then we got Toys for Tots, too. So we got a lot of stuff coming up here at the holidays, as always.
As always, and on Thursday we got the Justice League coming in.
The Justice League.
There you got a car show coming up. Holy moly!
I wonder when they walk in, go Wonder Twin powers, but it's not that Justice League.
His son's name.
It's not that Justice League. Yeah. We're gonna take a break. Coming up next, Chief of Police Mike Balkin from the Ocala Police Department. He's in studio. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.